Hello everyone, very warm welcome from Mentor English. Today I'm going to share, pardon me, a summary of Joseph Andrew and the particular plot of Joseph Andrew and all the books and a review of all the books. So let's get started from Mentor English. Thank you if you haven't subscriber yet. So I would like to request you that must subscribe and hit the bell icon. Summary of Joseph Andrew. The novel Joseph Andrew is divided into four books, and a summary of the plot of each book is given below. Book 1. Joseph Andrew is introduced as a 21 years old young man and brother of Pamela, the protagonist of Samuel Richardson's novel Pamela, at the age of 10, after he had received his early and basic education to read and write. Joseph was sent to serve at the estate of Square Bobby or Bube. Both you can, because here are two o, or we can say it's a double vowel. So when there is a double vowel, so you will increase the volume there, and you will stretch the voice pitch. So it must be Bube. Bube, he served at the estate in different positions, and by the time he was 17, Lady Bube made him her footman. She took him to London, where he was exposed to latest fashion of haircut and dress. Despite his indications with multiple people involved in wicked activities, he didn't game, swear, and drink. That's a particular terminology, and we will discuss it later, inshallah. The action of the novel begins with Joseph's writing letters to his sister Pamela. He informs her about his mistress, Lady Bube, who tries to seduce him while he attempts to save his virtue, following the example of his namesake, Prophet Joseph. As we can say, the particular name of the novel is Joseph Andrew. So here is another metaphorical terminology, as it by the name of Prophet Joseph. And the next one, Joseph makes his mistress extremely angry, since he refuses to indulge in amorous relationship, amorous Vincetomania. We have read it in detail in Chaucer's Canterbury Tale. So that was a Roman particular. We can say it in English as I love you, or according to the love affection relationship with her. Besides, he earns the wrath of of her maid servant, a middle-aged woman, Miss Slipslop, who also strives to seduce him. Joseph's refusal to reciprocate to the sexual advance of Lady Bube and Mrs. Slipslop ultimately cause him the lose of his job. So Joseph decides to return back to the countryside and meet his beloved Fanny. Fanny was beloved to Joseph Andrew, whom he wants to marry. Fanny also serves the Bube family, and is extremely desirous of marrying her beloved Joseph. Fanny and Joseph are, however, advised by their most sincere friend and mentor Parson Abram Adam, to postpone their marriage till they became financially secure by saving some part of their earnings. Joseph sets off the countryside, and on his way gets robbed and injured by the highwaymen, who leave him naked and bleeding in a ditch. He is, however, rescued by the passengers of a stagecoach. a stagecoach and transported to an inn run by Mr. Towaus and his wife. At the inn, Joseph is attended by a caring and considerate servant Betty. Betty fetches the doctors to attend the injured man, and he declares that there is little hope of his recovering, since Joseph and seems to be near. Therefore, a clergyman, Mr. Barnabas, is called to pray by him and to prepare him for another word. In the meanwhile, the thieves who stripped Joseph of his clothes and other belongings are caught, and he retrieves his possessions. While Joseph is staying in the inn, his friend Parson Adams also arrives. Adams is in fact going to London, namely to publish 3 volumes of sermons, and consequently get a considerable sum of money on this occasion, which his family were in urgent need of. Thus, Adams and Joseph are joined and spend 3 days together. During his stay in the inn, Adams meets another guest, a bookseller, and offers to sell him his sermon. The bookseller does not show any interest in sermons, since he finds them a least profitable commodity, and prefers to buy the script of a play that had been acted 20 nights together. Adams also intervenes in a quarrel between Mr. Towaus and Betty, which ends up in Betty's losing her job. Dear students and dear teachers, here book 1 is ended up, and we are going to start Joseph Andrew book 2 right now. So let's do it. Book 2 opens with the revelation that Adams left his sermons, which he plans to get published in London, at home. Adams consequently plans to return back instead of going to London. So Adam and Joseph set off on the road to the estate of late Squire Bube. They have 1 horse, and they decided to travel using the technique of tie and tide. That is another terminology. We will discuss it later, but a little bit we are going to discuss. Walking and riding the horse turn by turn, Adams began walking and thinks too profoundly about the plays written by ancient Greek dramatist Aeschylus, that he does not realize that Joseph is left behind. He covers 3 miles and then stops at an inn for a drink, and there he meets Mrs. Slipslope's. Adam and Mrs. Slipslope's travel together in the stagecoach, while Joseph accompanies them on the horseback. During their journey, they see a great house, and a lady in the coach identifies it as the residence of the unfortunate Leonora. Leonora, then ordered to entertain her fellow travels. She relates the story of Leonora, Horatio, and Bellarmine. In the next inn where the travelers stop, Adam find out Joseph behind, treated by the innkeeper's wife after falling from his horse and getting injured. The innkeeper, however, disapproves his wife's compassionate treatment of the handsome young traveler, and consequently gets into a quarrel with Adam. While Adam while Adams beat the aggressive host, Mrs. Slipslope attacks his wife and pardon me attacks his wife and pulls off her cap along with her hair. After this aggressive episode, they again begin their journey, and this time, Adam has to ride the horse while Joseph travels in the stagecoach with Mrs. Slipslop. Adams, however, forgets his horse and begins walking. He covers a quarter of a mile when the passengers in the coach find him walking and try to reach him in order to inform him about his forgetting his horse. Adams thinks that the fast driven coach is likely to overtake him, so he begins to run. The faster the faster the coachman drives to approach him, the swifter he runs, often crying out, catch me if you can. Catch me if you can. As we can I want to quote here, right? Emma Hester's and I'm a rider. There is also these lines have been taken by Emma Hester's, a great English singer. If you can, he thus leaves the coach a full 3 mile in his rear and soon reaches the summit of a hill where he sits and reads his copy of uh, Aeschylus while waiting for the stagecoach to arrive. Soon a hunter with a gun loaded approaches him, and the two men begin to talk to talk engrossed in talking to the hunter. Adam does not realize that the coach has gone past him. He then want to make haste and follow them, but he is distracted by violent shrieks imaginable in a female voice. The hunter runs away to save his life, while Adams saves the young woman from the ravisher by hitting his head with his crab sticks. The young woman turns out to be Fanny, who travels towards London to meet her beloved Joseph. Adams and Fanny again get into troubles when a party of bird batters arrives in search of their prey. On hearing their voices, the ravisher, who has regained his consciousness, call them and accused the person and the young woman of robbing him. The bird batters believes the wicked man, and after tying Adam's hands behind him, led him and Fanny as a prisoner to the court of the justice. The villagers, dear student, dear watchers, dear teachers, the villagers gathered at the justice place to see the proceeding of Fanny and Adam's trial. When someone observes and then points out at the cassock peering forth from under the great coat of Adams. The justice and the villagers believe that Adams used the costume of a clergyman when he goes robbing. The copy of Aeschylus belonging to Adams is examined by a parson who recognizes it being a manuscript written in Greek, but he also declares that Adams has stolen it from the same clergyman whose cassock he has taken. The tables are, however, are turned when one of company having looked steadfastly at Adams recognize him as the person at Lady Boobe's estate, and thus Adams and Fanny are realized and they continue to travel. At the next inn where they stop, Fanny and Adams surprisingly meet Joseph, However, Adam gets so excited that he flings his Aeschylus into the fire and loses it. Adam, Adam's Fanny and Joseph plan to travel together, but unfortunately, they do not have enough money to pay the expenses of the inn. Adams therefore goes to meet Parsons Trulliber, a local clergyman, in order to borrow some money from him. Trulliber, besides him being a clergyman, is a farmer and raises pigs for selling. Here you can see the bitter reality and harsh reality of the religious personalities, as you can see that in according to Bible, the Old Testament, the pig is vanished and pig is banned by the Old Testament of Bible, and that is also banned by Quran for selling. And he is a clergyman, he is a religious person and doing trade for banned things. So that is a universal trait in the character, that is a universal trait in the novel. And you can see here particularly that that is the biggest moral theft in the society, which is being told by Joseph Andrew. So, dear student and dear teachers and dear subscriber and dear watchers, at Trulliber House, Adams is mistaken for a buyer of pigs and is pushed into the pigsty, where he is kicked by a hog and ends up falling into mire, thus soiling his greatcoat, wig, and hat. He then introduces himself as a fellow clergyman and asks for loan, but Trulliber refuses to lend any money and gets so furious that is ready to beat Adams. Thus, Adams returns back to the inn where a poor paddler pays their dues, and consequently, the three travelers begin their journey. On the way, on the way, on the way, they meet a squire who befalls them by offering accommodation and horses, but actually provides none. They again stay in an inn where the kind-hearted host does not charge them any rent but argues with Adams about traveling and learning, as well as the role of clergymen in the lives of common people. So, dear students, dear teachers, and dear parents, and dear watcher, and dear subscriber of Mentor English Professor MA Raza. So, here is the end up of book 2, and we are going to start book 3 from here right now. So let's do it. Let's get started. The three travelers spend the next night outdoors and overhears some men talking about killing people. Afraid of the murders, they hurriedly leave that place and then stop at a house where their host clarifies that the murderers were sheep stealers, and the 12 persons murdered were no other than 12 sheep. The host is a gentleman called Mr. Wilson, who narrates the story of ups and downs of his life in London, where the lost his fortune and ended up living a quiet life in the countryside. The guests find Mrs. Wilson's a loving husband and a caring father, and grieve on hearing that his first son was kidnapped by gypsies. They bade farewell to their host, Mrs. Wilson, and continue their journey, while Adams and Joseph argues about advantages and disadvantages of private and public education. Adams strongly favor private education because he thought a schoolmaster the great test characters in the world and himself the greatest of all schoolmasters. Joseph, on the contrary, asserts that if a boy be of mischievous, wicked inclinations, no school, though ever so private, will ever make him good. On the contrary, if he be of a righteous temper, you may trust him to London or wherever else you please. He will be in no danger of being corrupted. Joseph then deliver a lengthy speech on the notion of charity, and also refers to the hypocrisy of rich people whom he has served. He is surprised at the long silence of Parson Adams, only to find him fast asleep. Adams, however, is soon distributed by a pack of hunting dogs chasing a hare, but they get attracted towards him and attacked him. Joseph saves Adams, and they soon meet the owners of this pack of hounds, who is a squire. This squire is wicked man who loves to ridicule people and does so with the help of a group of companies, including an old half-pay officer, a player, a dull poet, a quack doctor, a scrapping fiddler, and a lame German dance master. Here you can see again that the novelist particularly criticize the society, that a person, that is officer having half pay, and a dull poet, and a quack doctor and scrapping fiddler and a lame German dance master. The square wants to avail the opportunity of parson hunting, and for this purpose invites Adam to his house. The three travelers arrived at the house of the square, where during the dinner the host and his companion play practical jokes to insult Adams. The final prank is meant to throw Adams in a tub full of water, and he does fall into it, but also drags his host along with him. After this bitter experience, Adam, Joseph, and Fanny leave hurriedly and cover 7 miles in the dark till they reach the new inn. At the inn, Adam beats a Roman priest and lends him money. At meets are sorry At the inn, Adams meets a Roman priest and lend him money. At night they are attacked by the companions of the square, led by the captain, and despite their strong retaliation, Fanny is abducted while the attackers leave Adam and Joseph tied to the bedposts. Fanny is, however, saved by Peter Pounce, manager of Lady Bouvet's estate. Pounce not only brings Fanny but also her abductors back to the inn, where Joseph beats the captain. Next, Joseph and Fanny sit on the same horse while Adams accompanies Peter Pounce in his chariot, and they set off for pardon me they set for the Bouvet Hall. But on the way, Pounce insult Adams, calling him a shabby fellow who do not know the word. This infuriates Adams, and he leaps out of the chariot and again join Joseph and Fanny to cover less than a mile and reach their destination, the Bouvet Hall. Here ends up the book 3, and we are going to start the book 4. Joseph Andrew pardon me, Joseph Andrew, accompanied by Adam and Fanny, arrived at Bube Hall simultaneously with Lady Bube and her companions, including Mrs. Slipslop and Peter Pounce. Both Lady Bube and Adams receive a warm welcome from the villagers who genuinely love their parson but are also pleased to see their mistress back at the estate and hope that some part of the rents she receives from them will be spent on their welfare. To everyone's surprise, Lady Bube goes to the church in order to see Joseph, but gets furious when Adams announces the upcoming marriage of Joseph and Fanny. She then calls Adams, but fails to convince him to stop this wedding despite her threats of making him unemployed. Next, she calls lawyer Scout and orders him to handle the matter. Lawyer Scouts manages to send away both Fanny and Joseph after charging them for theft of a twig of grass from his field. Lady Bube is unhappy to hear that Joseph is also sent away, but her unhappiness soon dissipates when he returns after the arrival of her sister Pamela and her husband Square Bube. The arrival of Square Bube and Pamela brings a twist in the story, since it saves lovers from banishment planned by lawyer Scout and the justice, and at the same time it begins Joseph to the table of Lady Bube, while Fanny has to stay at Adams' place. Joseph, now dressed up as a gentleman, stays at Bube's hall, where his sister Pamela strives to convince him to give up Fanny because she thinks this match degrades him. Joseph, however, does not agree with Pamela and regularly goes to visit Fanny, and on one occasion saves her from the sexual, you can read it sexual, but the original pronunciation is the sexual advances of Beau de Dapper. He then requests Adams to get them married as soon as possible. Adam's wife and his eldest daughter strongly argue against his supporting Joseph and Fanny's marriage, and consequently facing the effect of Lady Bube's wrath. Adams, however, remains adamant and refuses to change his stance on Joseph and Fanny's likely marriage. Adams suddenly receives the news of his son's drowning and laments over his loss, but he is soon relieved to hear that his son is saved. He soon receives different guests besides Joseph and Fanny. The first guest in the peddler, who appeared in book 2 and financially helped Adams, Joseph and Fanny. Then Lady Bube arrives along with the Beau de Dapper in order to entertain his guests. Adams asks his son Dick to relate the story of two friends called Leonardo and Paul. In the meanwhile, Beau de Dapper molests Fanny and gets beaten by Joseph and Adams, but Adams' wife and daughter condemn him for supporting Fanny. Similarly, Lady Bube and Pamela disapprove Joseph's taking a stand for Fanny, while Mr. Bube wonders why Joseph takes upon him to be this girl's champion. The peddler reveals the secret of Fanny's parents to the company, and that is the ending part of the particular story of the novel Joseph Andrew. to the company and informs them that she is the daughter of Andrews and thus a sister of Joseph and Pamela. However, Pamela refuses to accept that her parents had another daughter, and to resolve the matter, the Andrew were called. Mrs. Andrews reveals the secrets the secret that Fanny is her healthy and chubby daughter who was abducted and replaced by a weak and thin boy whom she brought up as Joseph. The mystery of Joseph's parenthood is soon solved. That is an other intrigue. That is an other terminology of that society. That there is no they don't bother that where they got the child, where they fetch the child, but they brought up the child. Here I have thought a respected legend of Pakistan or respected legend of Asia, Mr. Honorary Dr. Abdustar Idi, and he was the guts of all these. And but we will discuss it later as the anthology, or as the criticism, or as the particular explanation of the summary at the in my next video. I'm just going to conclude and end up the summary here. Who was abducted and replaced by a weak and thin boy whom she brought up as Joseph. The mystery of Joseph's parenthood is soon solved when Mrs. Wilson, who appeared in book 3, arrives to meet Adams. Mrs. Wilson recognized Joseph as his lost son with a strawberry mark on his breast. Here is a little mistake if you think about, but that is not the mistake, because in the past, or in the 16th or 14th century, the word breast was used for chest also. When you use the when you feel and when you understand the word breast in past 14th to 16th century, that mean if they are using the word breast for a male person, so that mean they are asking about the chest. Understand it? Okay. Breast, thus there is no impediment in the way of Joseph and Fanny's marriage, and this displeases Lady Bube to the extent that she leaves her estate without farewell and soon finds another love in London. Joseph and Fanny gets married and live happily at the estate of Mrs. Wilson. So here we end up the particular summary in detail, and at the end I would like to give you that we will the next lecture I will discuss inshallah in particularly that what is Fielding's characterization in Joseph Andrew. Henry Fielding, what type of character uses in Joseph Andrew, in particular paints, or for example I read 2 lines for you to end up the summary of this particular lecture. Fielding paints a realistic picture of contemporary life by means of his depiction of several characters in the course of the novel. The action is a characters perform, and the words they speak reveal their intentions. Fielding also comments on the, so we will inshallah recatch. I will recatch you, and I will retake you, and we will be right back in front of you by this next topic inshallah. And before going, I would like to say you that if you want the Urdu literature lectures, so must subscribe Mentor Urdu, or in Urdu Murshid Urdu Professor MA Raza. And if you are searching for Islamiyat or Diniyat lectures or classical Islamic sciences lectures, must subscribe Jame Darul Uloom Sheikh al Islam. And if you are searching for Mandi Baudin news, then must subscribe Mandi Baudin HD TV, MB Deen TV, the user handle and YouTube handle. And for Tehsil Phalia TV 1, or great channel, to enthusiate the societal or societal impact and pragmatics of prognostic view of Phalia, Tehsil Phalia district, Mani Bahauddin, Punjab, Pakistan. So at the end, I would like to share that must subscribe, and before going, I would like to request you that say with me, do something more for humanity, do something more for knowledge and practices. Have a good day.